Hi, it's Trisha from Trisha's Cards and Crafts. Sorry I'm a bit late today. I had a really busy day yesterday when I meant to do the video. So I've had to do it this morning. So hopefully I'll get it onto YouTube by this evening. These are the cards that I'm going to show you today. This is the simple one, and this is the stepped up version. So it's the simple to stepped up Sunday. Okay, hope you enjoy these cards. So we start off, I'll explain how to make this one in a moment, and I'll start off showing you how to make this card here. We're going to be using a stamp set called Free as a Bird. This is the stamp set. It's got some lovely little, obviously, birds on it, and some leaves and some petals and some flowers and some nice sentiments as well. So I'm going to be using this sentiment, "Your friendship means the world to me," and I'm going to be using this image here. On the envelope I use this image as well, so I'll be using this one too. Okay, so start off with our note card, and I'm using, whoops, he's flying everywhere, some crumb cake ink, and here's the, I've already mounted this onto the block, the stamp onto the block. Now some people don't like, if this is quite a large stamp, I could have used it going this way, but I want to use it this way onto the card. Now the crease comes here. Now I like the thought of the image going over onto the back of the card, so that's why I'm going to carry on stamping this. If you didn't want to, you can use post-it notes to cover up where the crease is, and then you would stamp onto that part there, and then it wouldn't show on the back. But I like it showing on the back, so I'm going to carry on with this. I don't want it right down the bottom, but I do want it on the bottom half. There we go. Make sure, get a good impression. And there we go. And then we'll stamp the sentiment at the top while we're at it. I quite like it here. And I'll use the stamp the envelope as well while we're doing the stamping. And I just use the leaf stamp, and I'm just going to come off the envelope, which is why I've got a piece of paper here. There we go. Okay, so now the stamping is done. It's a really simple card, this one. So now I can put the ink pad away before I stamp something else. Oh, actually no. What you do is, if you press like this onto the stamp pad, you can get some ink onto the top of the ink pad. And because I haven't got a brown pencil with this set that I'm using, and I've put them down somewhere. Well, I'm going, don't know what I've done with them. Anyway, I'm using the second of the pencil sets. Oh, here we go. Watercolour pencils assortment 2, and I'm using Flirty Flamingo, Crushed Curry, the Balmy Blue, and the Granny Apple Green for the leaves. Okay, and I'm using a watercolour, an aqua painter. This is one that I've got, but you can get them from Stampin' Up. You can use just a plain brush and a little drop of water. But you don't want it to be too wet, so just be careful, especially on these. They're quite thick, so they're quite good quality, and they don't tend to warp because unless you make it too wet. But first of all, I'm just going to use, like I said, you can use a paintbrush, just make sure that's clean. You can use a little bit of the ink, and I'm just going to use this to colour the branch in. Again, so long as it's not too wet, there won't be a problem. There you go. I'm just going to clean that off. There we go. I can put the ink away now. And then I'm just going to use a pink. This is the Flirty Flamingo. Using this one to do the flowers. I just want to give an impression of the colour rather than worrying about it being too detailed. There we go. And the Granny Apple Green for the leaves. There we go. And then for the birds, I used the crushed curry for the breast, and then just used a little bit of blue. This is the Balmy Blue. There we go. And then I'm going to colour this in again with the water brush. It just helps to soften out the lines. And I'm just going to do the blue first, and then I'll come back to the yellow. If I do touch the yellow with the brush, it will sort of make it go a little bit green, but that's okay. Here we go. And then just take that off, and then I'm just going to soften the yellow off. There we go. I didn't do the beaks because I was just in case I touched it, because I didn't want it to bleed, because I want these to, because I'm not going to use the brown on the beaks. I'll just make sure that I use this crushed curry and do it a little bit darker. And there's the card. All we need to do now is to crease. I should have really waited for it to dry first, but there we go. We want to get this filmed so that we can put it on YouTube for you. So there we have our simple card and envelope, and it just peeps around the corner, so it gives a little bit of interest on the back as well. Okay, so there's the card and the simple card and envelope. For the step stepped up version, there's the one I did earlier. The stepped up version, what I did, I used a piece of crumb cake card for the back, cut it to size so that it gives a margin all the way around the card. I then used this stamp, and I got a smaller one as well with the little bud on, and I did a background stamp so that I've got a background for my card. I then used the stitched nested labels dies to cut out. I used 3 different sizes, the biggest and then 2 of the smaller ones. For the I used another piece of crumb cake to cut this one out to make a mat so that it would stand out a little bit more, and I used the largest one to cut out to make the mat, to put the large stamp on. And then I used Stampin' Blends to colour these in rather than the pencils. I think I prefer the pencils because I like the watercolour effect on it rather than I think that blue is a little bit dark, but there we go, we learn by our mistakes. I used some 1/4 inch or 8, whoops, this one. I used the crinkled seam binding, which is 1/4 inch, and then I used the Stampin' Blends in the Granny Apple Green Dark to colour it in, or light, I think it is, that one is, to colour it in. And because I didn't have any matching crystal accents to put on, I used plain clear ones, and then I coloured them in with my Stampin' Blends as well. I used the dark one for that because the light one, although it comes out quite light, because it's clear, it doesn't actually come out very well, so I used the darker one to do the accents. Okay, so oops, there we go. So there we have I used some my brain is not working today. I used some pads to go underneath to raise this up on the card, and then I used them to raise the sentiment up as well. Again, I stamped on the front of the envelope, and I used the little bud to do the back as well on the larger version. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you'll come back to me and watch another one next week. If you want to know anything else, please let me know. If you like this and you want to keep watching this series of videos, please click on the subscribe button, which is below, and if you like this, please click on the thumbs up so that I can see that you have enjoyed watching this video. If you've got any suggestions that you'd like to see, please let me know and I'll do my best. Anything else, I'll see you next week. Thanks very much. Bye.